Ohio State plays its final road game of the season at Northwestern, but it's not at Ryan Field. It's at Wrigley Field, playing on a baseball diamond. They've turned it into a football field. They're not the first team to do this ever. It's happened before. I mean, Miami was playing in a baseball diamond, I think, for one time at some point. Miami Dolphins at some point, so it's happened before. But it's just a unique thing for Ohio State to be doing it, playing in a baseball field, playing a football game. And these are our game time decisions. I'm Steven. That's Andrew. That's Stefan. Stefan, what do you want to see from the Bucs this weekend?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's a baseball field, but there won't be infield dirt like you see at like Oakland Coliseum and things like that in the past. So it's sad, but also it's probably safe. It's probably the safer thing to do. My game time decision centers on defense, and I don't think this game is going to be close. I kind of just want to see, similar to like we saw against Purdue, what Jim Knowles and this defense just try to experiment with, right? Like I think we're going to see more. Reps with the jack position. I think we'll see guys rotate through some, at safety. We've talked so much about depth this year, and Ryan Day was just telling us that, you don't feel good about anything, but he feels a bit better about the safety depth just because of some of the versatility they have there. And I'm sure we'll see some of those younger guys again playing some reps at safety even before the game is out of reach necessarily. So really with the defense, just experimentation, rotation, putting different guys in, trying different things out, because after Northwestern, the second half of the season is crazy to say in late November, like the second half of the season is about to start. But if this team makes a run to national championship, they're only halfway through the year right now. Second half of the season, and we're talking about Indiana, explosive offense, Michigan, not explosive offense, but then Oregon, potentially explosive offense. And you look at the teams that you could get in the playoffs, Texas with Quinn Ewers able to air it out. We've seen Ole Miss. Teams like there's good teams left on the schedule, teams that have competent offenses. And you got to experiment now to see what do you have on tape that could be useful when you get into the second half of the season here?
More experimentation. I just want to see what the starters in, though. I think that's the one thing, because when we saw the jack, it was a lot of the backups in the game, but I'm with you with that one. Mr. Gillis, what would you like to see?
So it does kind of relate to that a little bit, but I'm very, very interested in the quarterback situation for Ohio State and not what happens with Will Howard. I'm curious how quick the hook comes for him, assuming Ohio State gets out to a pretty substantial lead. I'm curious who the quarterback that comes in for him is, and I'm curious what the offense looks like when and if that happens, because I've said this before all week. This is one of those games where you look at, and then you kind of have to look ahead on the schedule where you say, all right, well, Indiana, there's no guarantee we're going to be ahead by 28 points, by 35 points. Like, Ohio State's a 28-point favorite over Northwestern. That is the largest spread that they will have the rest of the year. I mean, Michigan, they will be multi-score favorites over. I think we all agree, if Ohio State's up 21-0 on Michigan, or they're up by 21 points in the third quarter, the fourth quarter, they are not letting go of the gas. They are keeping the gas down, and they're just going pedal to the metal on that team. So this is kind of it. And this might be our last look at Julian Sayin for the rest of the year. Because there's no guarantee you're going to blow out Indiana or Michigan or Oregon or any team you're going to play in the playoff. So this might be our last look at see what Julian Sayin looks like. I want to see what they're comfortable in giving him. I want to see what they're comfortable in that he can run. I want to see how comfortable he is in the pocket. I thought he looked decent in his couple of throws against Purdue. We don't know what the turf is going to look like, too. I think that that's something else to keep in mind. The turf might be a little dicey at Wrigley Field. They're converting a baseball field into a football field. If the turf's at all dicey, you wonder, all right, are they just going to get people out of there? It's like you go to a party and you show face and then you leave really quickly. I wonder if they're going to do that with the starters. I just think this might be a really quick in and out for Ohio State starters. And if that's the case, I want to see what Julian Sayin looks like if they're going to play him, because I think that might be the case on Saturday.
I think you're really assuming that Julian Sayin's going to be the first quarterback to take the field, and I don't think he is. I think Devin Brown's still going to be the first quarterback to take the field. And so I think the answer you're looking for the question, I am with you. I would love to see it, but I'm also not sure if we're going to actually ever get that answer to the question, because Ohio State's in trouble if we do, right? Sure. If who's the true backup in a playoff game situation, we can sit here and go, oh, it's Devin Brown because they keep telling us that, or go, oh, it's Julian Sayin because it seems like they're already starting that process. But it's just a hard thing to gauge because you don't want to actually have to find out.
Well, so one of my favorite quotes in the NFL is, there was a former Colts practice, and they went to Colts practice, and somebody looked at the offensive coordinator and said, how come you don't get the backup, Jim Sorgi, more reps? And he said, well, if 18, a.k.a. Peyton Manning, goes down, we're blanked, and we don't practice blanked. Well, if 18 goes down, they might be blanked, and they're not going to practice blank. So I do get what you're saying, but I do think that this might be a game where you see both.
I do too. The problem is I don't know if they were planning to see both against Purdue. I think it played well, the idea of, hey, Ryan, why'd you rip your backup quarterback out on 3rd and long? Yeah. Oh, because I wanted to see the freshman get an opportunity there. Or was your backup quarterback not getting the job done, so you went to your next guy? It's an interesting conversation that's going to be completely a hypothetical, and it's a hypothetical we're going to have to completely lean into the moment this season is over, whether that ends in a national championship game or it ends at whatever other point in the season, right? I just want to see Edric Houston play football some more. That's it. I just want to see him play more football because the depth behind Ty Hamilton and Tyleik Williams, while growing, it still doesn't feel like it's substantial. It feels like it's Caden McDonald and a bunch of question marks with Jason Moore, Tywan Malone, Hero Kanu. And if Edric Houston is like a real answer as a guy who gives you something that nobody else on that interior defensive line gives you, and that's a guy in the same vein as maybe a Draymond Jones of, I'm in here, but you still need to worry about me, quarterback, because I will blow up your pocket. I just want to see more of that. I love that they started him last game. I don't know if Tyleik Williams is actually going to play on Saturday, and if he doesn't, maybe they start Edric Houston again. But even if Tyleik Williams does play, he shouldn't be playing more than 17 to 20 snaps, so we're going to see a lot of Edric Houston. I just want to see him continue to turn into whatever he's going to be for the rest of this year, because that is a springboard for 2025 when we're going to have a million questions on both sides of the ball about personnel. He can just not be a question at all. He can be not necessarily to the extent of Jeremiah Smith is, but I've locked down this defensive tackle spot for the next 2 years. I think that's the trajectory that Edric Houston is now on. So I just want to see more of that against an opponent where he can have a mistake like he did against Purdue and it really not cost you anything and learn from it and still move on forward. So, yeah, experimentation, Julian Sand, Edric Houston. So experimentation and 2 5-star freshmen. That's what we want to see on Saturday when Ohio State plays Northwestern inside Wrigley Field. Baseball diamond, football. Get the text 614-350-3315. 2-week free trial, $3.99. After that, Andrew, Stefan, Steven, baseball diamond. See you there.